We're on mile marker 4, practice 1, and we just have to finish this last box, question 10. In the last video, we actually found the answer to number 9 was 5. If you didn't watch the last video, I just made a mistake as I was writing that out. So we found our radius in number 9. Now what we want to do is find the area of this sector. So we were working with lengths a moment ago. We're now going to transfer over to area. So what we found out in question 9 is that this radius is equal to 5. And if you don't have that correct, unfortunately, it's probably going to impact question 10. They're somewhat dependent on one another. We're now asked to find the area of this sector. And since we know the radius already, this is going to make it an easier problem. It'll be a lot like a problem we've already done. So we need to set up our proportion. I'm going to move up to this top space on my page. So we're going to set up a proportion comparing the sector to the entire circle. And we said we're going to compare the degrees. And now, since we're talking about area instead of circumference, we're going to use area instead of length. We can see that our central angle for the sector is 36. So 36 degrees over 360 for the whole circle. Again, we might recognize that as the ratio 1 to 10. The area we haven't found anything. I take that back. We don't know the area of the circle yet, but we do know its radius. So we could figure out the area of the circle. Remember, the area of a circle is pi times your radius squared. So in question 9, when we figured out that our radius is 5 units, I'm just going to square that number, and I'm going to get 25 pi. So again, we want to keep this in pi notation, 25 pi right here. Okay, what we're trying to figure out is the area of the sector. So again, I'm going to put x up here, and I'm going to write x pi because I don't want to multiply pi out. I just really want to solve for x. So now if we use cross multiplication, that's not the only way to solve this, but that's the way that we are most familiar with. We're going to end up getting the cross products of 360x equals 36 times 25. So in my calculator off the screen, 36 times 25 is 900. All right, now we should be pretty familiar that we now divide both sides by 360. And 900 divided by 360 is 2.5. So we get x is 2.5. If we're following along, when we get 2.5, remember that's not the area of the sector, rather that's the number that comes before pi when we describe the area of the sector in pi notation. So when I get 2.5 there, I could say 2.5 pi. Now, depending on who your math teacher is, they might not want you to write your final answer in that format. Traditionally, in math, when we write something in pi notation, traditionally this number in front of pi is either a whole number or a fraction. So you may need to speak with your geometry teacher and ask them what acceptable formats of this answer they would take. The quick solve, or the quick way of fixing this, is to just think, what is 2.5 or 2.5 as an improper fraction? And if you're using a calculator, a graphing calculator, there is a real easy way to do that. I just did that work in my calculator. 900 divided by 360 is how we got 2.5. So on your graphing calculator, under alpha, there's a button that says math. If you hit math, the very first choice in bold at the top is fraction. So you could hit enter or 1. Because this was the last number that was an answer in my calculator, it's already stored as the answer. Otherwise, I would hit 2.5 and then go to fraction. And then now, if I hit enter, the calculator will tell me that that 2.5 is the same as 5 halves. Now that wasn't a particularly difficult decimal to put in fraction form, but if you're not comfortable doing that, or you think that could make you make a mistake on the mile marker, just go ahead and use the calculator, and we get 5 halves pi, or what your teacher would probably most like to see is 5 pi over 2. So these are all three equivalent forms Our final answer on our mile marker question 10, I know I'd prefer it in the format of 5 pi over 2.